Are you looking for the best CPU motherboard combo? In this video we will look at some of the best CPU motherboard combo. Before we get started with our video, we have included links in the description. So make sure you check those out to see which one is in your budget range. Number 5. 7800X3D plus MSI B650M Project Zero. Specifications. Motherboard RAM capacity, 128GB DDR5 at 7600 plus OC. CPU boost speed, up to 5 GHz. Motherboard PCIe version, PCIe Gen 4 storage plus GPU. What we think? A very good pair for a sleeker, smaller gaming rig. You don't need a whole lot of overclocking capabilities with the 7800X3D, as the 3D V-Cache cannot handle it. Reasons to buy. Good value for money. Looks good, really like the white. Thermal armor keeps VRMs cool. Reasons to avoid. Slight performance loss versus X670E. Difficult to install if your case doesn't accommodate for the rear connections. Micro ATX, so only one PCIe slot. This is a more budget pairing based on gaming performance. The 7800X3D is very capable of pushing frames in even the most intensive games. The 3D V-Cache gives it a nice boost where it lacks in raw power from its inclusion on the chip. Because of the V-Cache and the limitations it poses, we have paired this CPU with a B650M, because you just don't need that much power with an X3D CPU. This way, you can save some money and perhaps upgrade your GPU instead. X3D shines in gaming scenarios, as we found out when we reviewed the X3D. If you're looking for something similar but for productivity, then the base 7700X might be of interest to you. There is no 7800X as of yet, but if the random reignition of AM4 has taught us anything, the lack of base 7800X may not last forever. The B650M Project Zero is based around power delivery and aesthetics, boasting a 3-layered power delivery system of 10 plus 2 plus 1 power phases. It puts even the best motherboards to bed. This would be a build centered around looks, or at least aesthetically focused. That is where Project Zero shines. All of the connections on the motherboard are at the rear, meaning there are no wires visible on the front. When we reviewed this motherboard, we thought that this was a nice touch from MSI. Number 4. Core i9-14900K plus ASUS Z790 Dark Hero. Specifications. CPU, Core i9-14900K. Motherboard, ASUS Z790 Dark Hero. CPU core and thread count, 24 core, 32 thread, 8 P-core 16 E-core. Motherboard form factor, ATX. CPU base speed, 3.2 GHz, P-core, 2.4 GHz, E-core. Motherboard socket, LGA 1700. CPU TDP, TDP125W, base, 253W, PL1 plus PL2. Motherboard RAM capacity, 192GB DDR5 at 8000 plus OC. CPU boost speed, 5.8 GHz, P-core, 4.4 GHz, E-core. Motherboard PCIe version, PCIe Gen 5 storage plus GPU. What we think? The i9-14900K pairs perfectly with the Z790 Dark Hero thanks to all of the features that the motherboard possesses. Reasons to buy. High performance. Great power delivery. Superior build quality. Reasons to avoid. Expensive. Heavy to pick up if you struggle with wrists. ASUS Armory Crate is still bad. The Core i9-14900K and the ASUS Z790 Dark Hero make a fantastic CPU and motherboard combo thanks to the plethora of features that the Z790 offers. Not to mention the fact that the 14900K is still top of the pack, for now, when it comes to single-core performance. So if you want a game on the Intel platform, the 14900K might be the best choice for you. Intel has patched the issues that caused chip degradation with the 14th and 13th generation CPUs, so it's safe to buy again. This Intel CPU is still using the split-core technology introduced in the 12th generation Alder Lake CPUs. This means that you get 24 cores and 32 threads. 8 of those cores being hyper-threaded P-cores, and 16 E-cores, with half of those E-cores also being hyper-threaded. as we mentioned in our review of the 14900K. That's how it's able to score so damn high in the multi-core tests. It just packs more cores than any other CPU on the market right now, mainstream anyway. And with single-core boost speeds topping 6 GHz, it's easy to see why it performs so well when gaming. Number 3. AMD Ryzen 9 9950X plus ASUS X670E Crosshair Hero. CPU, AMD Ryzen 9 9950X. Motherboard, ASUS X670E Crosshair Hero. CPU core and thread count, 16 multi-threaded cores, 32 threads. Motherboard form factor, ATX. CPU base speed, 4.3 GHz. Motherboard socket, AM5. CPU TDP, TDP170W, PPT230W. Motherboard RAM capacity, 192GB, DDR5 at 8000 plus, OC. CPU boost speed, up to 5.7 GHz. Motherboard PCIe version, PCIe Gen 5 storage plus GPU. What we think? The X670 Hero is perfect to play host for the 9950X because of the inclusion of PCIe Gen 5 capabilities for both storage and GPUs. Note that X670S will soon be superseded by the X870S. Reasons to buy: Ryzen 7000 series and 9000 series compatible. High memory speed and capacity. Extensive overclocking support. Robust power stages. Great customizability. Sleek aesthetics. Reasons to avoid: very expensive. Reserved for enthusiasts. If you don't have high-end hardware, this may be a waste. Armory crate, everyone who uses it dislikes it. Very gamer-focused, if you don't like that kind of thing. AMD's Ryzen 9000 series may be a little held back by the level of efficiency that AMD is trying to achieve, but there is a light at the end of the tunnel, and that light is named the 9950X. In our review, we state that this CPU is highly capable of being AMD's latest flagship and rips through tasks when you enable PBO. This is why we think it will make a fantastic pair with the X670E Hero, as it has a robust power delivery system to give the CPU a constant stream of stable power. Number 2. Core Ultra 9 285K plus MSI Meg Z890ACE. Specifications: CPU, Intel Core Ultra 9 285K. Motherboard, MSI Meg Z890ACE. CPU core and thread count, 24 core, 24 thread, 8 P-core 16 E-core. Motherboard form factor, ATX. CPU base speed, 3.7 GHz, P-core, 3.2 GHz, E-core. Motherboard socket, LGA1851. CPU TDP, TDP125W, base, 250W, maximum. Motherboard RAM capacity, 256GB DDR5. CPU boost speed, 5.5 GHz, P-core, 4.6 GHz, E-core. Motherboard PCIe version, PCIe Gen 5 storage plus GPU. What we think? The Core Ultra 9 285K and the MSI Meg Z890ACE make an excellent pairing, as this board has everything the 285K will need to deliver excellent multi-threaded and gaming output. Reasons to buy: plenty of PCIe and NVMe slots for expansion. Great easy DIY build-in options. Lots of connectivity on the rear and internal I/O. Reasons to avoid: a very expensive component to include in a build. This is a high-end pairing with neither component costing below $500, so it is an expensive pairing. However, when it comes to compatibility and performance, this is one of the best, as the MSI Meg Z890ACE has an LGA1851 socket, which is a requirement for the 285K. In addition, we've tested this combination in-house for our Meg Z890ACE and Core Ultra 9 285K reviews and can give you the full breakdown of the level of performance you can expect. Number 1. Ryzen 7 9800X3D plus ASUS ROG Strix X870EE Gaming Wi-Fi. Specifications: CPU, Ryzen 7 9800X3D. Motherboard, ASUS ROG Strix X870EE Gaming Wi-Fi. CPU core and thread count, 8 cores, 16 threads. Motherboard form factor, ATX. CPU base speed, 4.7 GHz. Motherboard socket, AM5. CPU TDP, 120W. Motherboard RAM capacity, 192GB DDR5. CPU boost speed, 5.2 GHz. Motherboard PCIe version, PCIe Gen 5 storage plus GPU. What we think? The Ryzen 7 9800X3D is the best gaming processors, and the support it gets from the ASUS ROG Strix X870EE motherboard, it can unleash its full potential, leaving nothing to the imagination. Reasons to buy. Provides plenty of power to the processor and lets it run at its full potential. Great memory overclock reaching fast transfer speeds. Quick disconnect NVMe and GPU makes upgrades and installation a breeze. Reasons to avoid. A more premium option with features unnecessary for most. Does take a long time to memory train for quick boots? The Ryzen 7 9800X3D is currently the best gaming CPU on the market, and while its reign is threatened by the Ryzen 9 9950X3D, we're sure it will be a very popular pick among gamers. This processor is based on the AM5 platform, meaning it needs an AM5 motherboard, and while there are plenty of chipsets on the AM5 platform that would support this CPU, we recommend pairing it with the ASUS ROG Strix X870EE gaming Wi-Fi motherboard. In our Ryzen 7 9800X3D review, it delivered excellent gaming performance and took it to the next level with PBO enabled. However, this also increased its power draw and temperature, which isn't surprising. Another reason for recommending that specific board for this CPU is that it can be overclocked, which wasn't possible with the previous X3D processors. This means you can make its 8 cores run faster, which consumes more power and generates more heat. On top of that, you need more VRMs so that the energy is cleaned and stabilized before reaching the CPU, resulting in a higher overclock overhead. This brings us to the ASUS ROG Strix X870EE mainboard. In its review, we tested its performance using the Ryzen 9 9950X, which is the flagship of the Ryzen 9000 processors.